Okay, so let's look at a few of my own paintings as examples. Let's look at this portrait that I've painted right here on the top. What I want you to notice is that the way I handle the shadow side of the portrait by grouping just all the values into one right here, and this is essentially the blocking of the painting. Even though in reality there's a lot of like subtle little value changes in the shadow here, but I've simplified things by just sort of grouping all of this information into one value. And what this does is, again, it clarifies the read and it really makes the composition and the overall value grouping feel more simple, right? You can see that the face and the chest area, you have a light side and a dark side, right? And in the final painting, I do not lose this sort of big read and structure. And you can tell that this is essentially just two value. The way it's being conceived is just two value for the skin and one value really. Well, if you count the highlights, it's like two values, but it's like really one value for the hair because of its different local color compared to the skin. So if you look at the shapes here and stuff, all this is conveying to us that this head is turning as well. Even in the basic blocking, these masses of shapes, they're implying to us that the head turn. There's a lot of information being implied just in the blocking of the portrait. So the blocking stage, really sets you up, right, for the rest of the painting essentially. Like if you have a blocking that has good design, that has a simple value read and clarity, therefore you can really take that simple blocking and take it as far as you want, right? But if you are able to retain that design throughout, you will have a strong image in the end. And that is from a combination of shapes and values working together. So same thing for these boat paintings at the bottom. I've kept this read throughout the whole painting, So here I have a block in, and in the end, the read is essentially the same. We have some dark masses on a light background. So I didn't get caught up in the details in the beginning stage, like sort of the value design stage, right? And it's really about simplification at this stage, and I don't want to get caught up in all the little nuances and texture because that's not really what's important. That's not what makes this image read, and that's not what creates clarity, right? So this creates clarity and creates a design, and when you take that design further, you know, you can keep that initial clarity throughout the painting, right? So when you're adding textures and stuff, I am still thinking about that that grouping. I'm still thinking about how I can simplify things throughout the whole painting. But this acts as such a good foundation or a starting point. It makes it clear for us, and it's sort of like a blueprint on how you can go about further painting this image and further refining it.